based off Stellar itself. Stellar is a consensus algorithm. And what that means for you and for me is simply this. It's really important to have a lot of nodes, because the nodes are the ones that handle all of the consensus making to determine what goes into the blockchain. It's much different than Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others that are proof of work or proof of stake. And so a healthy consensus algorithm needs to have a lot of nodes. I'm just saying 12,000 nodes is a really good indicator of interest in the ecosystem and future potential for Pi, especially to test things and just make sure that it has the ability to scale. I'm sure it's growing. This algorithm. Now, the second thing you probably didn't know is you don't have to run the full node to play around with the wallet. If you want access to the wallet and access to test Pi, you don't have to go through the entire steps of getting everything set up. You do need to run the node software, but the node doesn't have to be fully up and running. If you want to play and get access to the wallet, all you have to do is just download, and you're not as technical as others, but it's definitely much, much easier than you may think. You just have to run the software. That's it. That's a pretty cool fact number 2 for you. Now, fact 3, you probably didn't know, is wallets are coming to the iOS app. And that's kind of fun because you're going to see a lot more usage, a lot more scale. And keep in mind, what we're really trying to do in the Pi network and the ecosystem right now with testnet is doing just that, testing, scale, looking for bugs, looking for how many transactions can we actually handle, and how does this thing look when we have a whole bunch of people using this all together. Keep in mind, a Stellar-based blockchain is much, much faster than Bitcoin or even the current version of Ethereum. So this is why we're testing. This is why scale exists. In the software world, we call this QA, quality assurance, to make sure things work. Now, the fourth thing, and I thought this one was really interesting. When you read the announcement from the core team, from Nick inside the app, one thing he indicated, and this is new to me and I think is pretty interesting, is he talks about the future of the wallet itself will not just be to handle and to save and to keep your own Pi crypto or to buy it and sell it. It will also be able to be used with other cryptocurrencies. Now that's interesting. I think that's a good move. I think there's no reason you shouldn't do it. If you already have the ability to allow for transactions and you built a wallet. Now, one wallet for one crypto is totally different than a wallet for another crypto. Why would you do that? Well, most people that get into crypto are kind of like me. I don't own just one crypto. I love to buy a lot of different cryptos. And so having a wallet that has access to other cryptos, and that's a good thing. That's good for all of us because it just expands the utility of the Pi ecosystem and gives capabilities to users. The very last thing that you saw in the announcement from the core team on wallets this week was this. Your security circle is important. Right now, it's not super important. You've invited into Pi into your security circle and you have no idea who they are. You might be careful about that because the future of the security circle is simply this. It's supposed to drive trust. Remember how I said that Pi is based on Stellar and it's a consensus algorithm? The way it builds consensus of legitimacy is by trust, is trusting users. Who do I know in my circles? And so one thing they did hint at that I thought was pretty interesting in the announcement was the future of security circles may even allow for things like password resets and account recoveries. And there may be a mechanism inside that. So let's say I have 15 people in my trust circle that I know. They're friends and family to me. I know those people by first name basis and I trust them. And let's say I have an account problem and I'm locked out or something like that. They are hinting that one purpose of the security circle, not just to generate consensus, but also for things like account recovery in a decentralized way. Maybe it sends a message to all of them and says, hey, Wes Spencer says that he's been locked out of his account. Can you confirm this? And maybe a couple people in my trust group, text me and say, hey, is that legit? And I say yes, or whatever mechanism offline it is. And they go back in the app and they say, yes, that's legitimate. That is him and that is correct. And if there's enough of those in the trust circle that all authenticate it, it unlocks. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think that's what they're hinting at. I think that's the future. And I think that's smart because when you have a platform ecosystem that's closed sourced and centralized like Pi, and you have currently somewhere around 15 million users in the system, that generates a lot of support requests, a lot of help desk tickets, And I'm telling you, the Pi team, as small as it is, does not have the capacity to handle that. So you've got to have some decentralized methods and options to be able to handle things like that. And I think that's an ideal use case potentially for the security circles if it all works out as planned. So there you have it. 5 things you probably didn't know about Pi.